You know what I'm saying? Right. So they had to have something to some bold situation that had to like be resolved, and the only way you can do that is through the wisdom found in the scriptures. So
that's right.
Yeah. So we're live. Shema, I guess you'll join in when you can. Welcome everybody to another episode of Love Language, the Round Table. What was I gonna say? Hope everybody's having a good week so far. Good, and then is getting ready for the week to come. I pray the weather is holding up wherever you are. I know.
Yeah.
This is the beginning of the end, but it's gonna be okay. So today's topic is blended families in the Black community. I'm gonna meet you, Zeppelin, because I always like it as an echo.
Okay.
Blended families in the Black community, and we was kind of talking just a little bit about the topic beforehand, but all the topics that we try to deal with are things that that need to be resolved, and not resolved as in like it's a you'll never talk about it again, but things that are important, especially as we try to if you think you're a Black person, I'm sure you would agree that our families are in crisis, our neighbors are in crisis for the most part, not everybody, but as a whole in this country particularly, we could be doing a lot better, and we know we can be doing a lot better, I think. So with all the topics that we talk about, we try to provide a platform for everybody, no matter what your spiritual or religious beliefs are. We can come together to come to an understanding. And so today we're talking about the whole idea of like a step parent and what that is, because a lot of times, in marriages or any kind of union, there's always some kids that were there beforehand, and so how do we work those things out? So we're live streaming now on Facebook. If you want to join in, you're welcome to put your comments on there. You can, if you want to be a panelist, we are looking for more women to join, because just for balance sake. But any sisters, if you ever are interested or have questions about the show, I'm Tamar Cloyd on Facebook. You can inbox me even if I don't know you, and we can talk about it. We would love to hear more of the female perspective outside of my own. And I think that's all I want to say about promotional stuff. So, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and read the description for the topic rather. And it says, the concept of 2.5 kids and a dog rarely define the average Black household. Instead, family is a carefully placed metaphor that often goes beyond bloodline. Would you marry someone who already has kids? Why or why not? How would you introduce yourself to your partner's children in the dating phase? How important is adoption in establishing the role of a step parent? And how do we manage the impact that occurs on children when things don't work out? And that last one is like touchy. So I just we can come to some kind of something at least about that. So I'm gonna mute myself and see if either Zebulon or Shema wanted to start with opening comments. Okay. Can you hear Zebulon?
I can hear. I didn't know if Shema wanted. I don't know if he's there, if he wanted to come in and.
Okay.
But so well, I don't know where he's at the moment, but so I guess just starting off, I guess introductory statement. Yeah, anytime you're dealing with stepfathers, stepmothers, any type of step situation, there's so much to unpack with that, because of course, in order for there to be any type of step parent, there's going to be a possible previous failure of relationship. Now, of course, this obviously does not include unforeseen deaths of a spouse. I mean, I don't even know if we even need to even discuss that, because that should be a given. That clearly that wasn't a failure. That was a tragedy. But if there is a previous relationship that ended, there's a lot of stuff to unpack with that. There's And I don't want to make it seem as if like it's an issue of pointing the finger of whose fault is it, but I think it is important to find out these things beforehand. Like, well, what happened? What was the reasons? And and unfortunately, we may even have to hear from the other party, like, hey, by the way, why'd you leave? So I mean, you follow what I'm saying? So I mean, I think there's a lot that has to be approached before we can even begin to think that we can have a functional step parent scenario in a new relationship. Because and of course, when we actually get into the actual questions, we can kind of investigate it deeper. But I just think that the idea of step parents, I think in its, maybe not in its current practice, I don't think the current practice of step parenting is really, really biblical, but I think that the essence of the idea of step parenting is strongly supported by the Torah. I just think that the way it's practiced today, because I think that there's some unbiblical motives at times of why people get into these scenarios of step parenting or whatever, and they're not always biblically based. But again, there's a lot to unpack with that, so I don't want to just drop that and just be like, that's it. It's there's a lot to discuss with that, so I'll just leave it there for now. And Shema,
that's good word. Shema, I'm not sure if you're on. If you are, I'm gonna keep talking, but you just jump in whenever you get situated. So yeah, I do agree with that. I found it interesting that you said that the motives, like, cause I'm thinking to myself, like, what kind of weird motives would somebody have for becoming somebody's step parent?
Yeah,
so
I mean,
if you could say more about that, I'm curious.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and sadly, because I have a family, blood family, who unfortunately has been a teacher of sorts of some of these weird ways of doing things, very suspect ways of approaching relationships. But I'm going to say this, that when we talk about motives, you have women, for instance, who may have children with either, whether it's one man or multiple men or whatever the case may be, and they're coming into a relationship not because they want to build a relationship, but because they want support for their children that they're unable to get from the children's fathers. So the motive is more of a monetary and a comfortability issue, as opposed to genuinely wanting a male figure to come in and not only be a productive, loving spouse, but to be a productive and loving parent figure to the children who are lacking in that area. Now, of course, we know that, because of, us being Torah-keeping Israelites or Torah-believing Israelites, we naturally are coming from a much higher standard. So we don't necessarily have to bust our heads over motives. But unfortunately, like you said earlier, many of us are still in the world, not only in the world, but of the world. And so a lot of the motives are coming from that angle. And then you have the flip side. Sometimes you have men that specifically look for women with children because they may know that the women are vulnerable, because they know that there's no father figure there. There's no, they already want a husband. I mean, listen, naturally speaking, no woman really, really wants to be alone or lonely. Solitude is one thing, but men, women, just like men, they want a companion. They want someone who they can live their life with, and in a loving, productive manner. They want this. And unfortunately, you have some males that know this very well. Like, yeah, I know you're looking for somebody, and I know that you're vulnerable. I know you have children that you need someone to come in and be the provider and be all of these different things that you need. And so when you see someone who's vulnerable, the power shifts now. The power now is on the person looking in, and they're like, yeah. So now they approach with with that idea that, yeah, I know you're vulnerable, so you'll pretty much go for anything that I'm kind of throwing at you because you're looking at your options. Do you want to stay lonely, or do you want someone? And these are the games, unfortunately, that people play. Sometimes they're deliberate, conscious, and they're doing it conscientiously. And sometimes people do it because they're still broken and they haven't figured out that they're broken. Male and female. They haven't figured out that they're still broken in many ways and haven't resolved these issues. So that's what I mean by motives. That once we're able to get past the motive issue and figure out what is the real reasons for seeking these type of relationships out, then of course we can move forward, with some type of understanding and really get to the meat of the relationship. But before that, again, you really don't know what you're getting into. So again, that's why I had to, put that out there about motives, because unfortunately not everybody is coming into these relationships with righteous, with righteous motives and righteous ideas pertaining to marriage. So.
Yeah, that's interesting. Shema, did you want to say something?
Here we go.
Hello?
I said no.
Oh, okay. All right. So the other thing too about that that's interesting is like you said, the whole not knowing, not knowing, not knowing, but being like vulnerable and all that other stuff. And I think that's interesting too. And that could be a whole nother conversation about, are you even ready to, whether or not you got kids or not, are you even ready to entertain a relationship given your mental state? And not mental in like a sneak this way, but like, it's a grown folk stuff. And grown folk stuff, according to the Torah, like we've been talking about in previous weeks, is not about emotion. We've been talking about love, we've been talking about intimacy, and their emotions have a role in that, but they shouldn't be the driving force behind it. So I think that's interesting too, about being conscious of your own consciousness. Like, am I trying to like make sure my baby got Pampers? Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's not funny, because I understand, like, being a woman with children, whether or not, no matter what the situation is a struggle. So I'm gonna say nothing more about that. So the first question that is, so would you marry somebody who already has kids? And I'll give my thoughts last. So whoever wanted to jump in, Shema, if you want to. If not, Zebulon, if you would marry somebody who already has children.
Sure.
Okay, there you go. I didn't know if he was coming in. I could get lay it out.
Sure. That's my answer.
Oh my God. Okay. All right. Let's continue. Go ahead, Zebulon.
No, I mean, yeah, but it's a little deep for me. I have to see how she would implement me in, because I can't get into something to where I'm not allowed to be who I am, and that's the father. Period. So if you one of those that mind come before anything, or you can't. I don't know. Y'all know the ones I'm talking about. I think if y'all don't, y'all not in the real world. But you got some people that be like, man, my kids come first, which is, I get it, I understand. Then you got some to where it's like, you're just there, but you don't really have no say. I can't be involved in that. I won't.
Yes. So, okay. So I agree with that. I think that's interesting too, because there is the onus is on the person with the children to like create a space for the step parent or whatever you want to call the other person, um, create a lane for them. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's a big issue. I think that a lot of times, I'm gonna speak for myself. Like I've been by myself for a really, really long time. I'm just saying, like, even when I was married, because we didn't really have the best marriage, you know what I'm saying? He ended up passing away, but we was divorced and got back together and was split up and all types of stuff. So in my mind, I've been by myself for a really long time. And I think it's difficult, not in a mean way, but like we're all creatures of habit. Once you've been doing stuff for so long, it's difficult for somebody to then be like, okay, I might have known you for, and I'm not, I would never say how long somebody should. That's a good question. How long should you wait to even bring the man and woman around? But whatever. But it's all a process. And I think that one thing that I was adamant about is I'm a package deal. You know what I'm saying? I'm not. It ain't just Tamar. Like it's me and 3 other people. And I think that the attention should definitely be on the children. So like, if I met somebody and they were interested in me, they would have to know, like, stop looking at me, look at them. Are you going to engage them too? Because I think that's a problem when we deal with people who have kids and we focus on the adult, but we forget that there's children in the background. And if there was to truly be a proper merging of the household, it got to be relationships built with everybody. So I understand what you're saying, Shema, about that the person should create a space. But then if that can't happen, like how do you resolve it? Like I'm just gonna go into that. I think that's interesting. How would you work through that? Because
I wouldn't.
okay.
I wouldn't be with them.
I see.
Everything got to be established in the beginning.
Right.
And I'm gonna lay it out. This is how it will be with me. I meet somebody that got children. First, you two got to get to know each other. Y'all got to have that courting process. And then when it comes to introducing the children, now it's like, okay, they come into the mix. You start to get to know them, and you all start to do things collectively. But that's down the line. But what I'm talking about is more so in the marriage process, when you're married. I ain't talking about like in the beginning and all that. I'm talking about literally in the married part. I've seen marriages to where it was a blended family, and that's how the man was being treated. I won't go through that. So I will put all that stuff out there in the beginning. Of course, they come first from a standpoint of somebody putting the gun out on me. I'm going to jump in front of a bullet, in front of all y'all. You know what I'm saying? But I believe that in order for the house to be successful, like I always say, the man and the woman has to be first. And when you think on the plane, the first people that they say give that oxygen mask to, it's not the children. They say the parents, because in order for the children to be protected, the parents has to be in good standing. So I hope those that's listening understand. I'm not saying when a woman says I put my children first, I understand it, I get it, but it has to be understood that it's it has to be balanced if you're going to be with someone. And if it's not balanced, then I'm not with it. That goes for man and woman, though. So that goes into what you're saying as far as him being understanding the children are around. So he has to be balanced, too. It can't just be you and him. It has to be him and the children as well. So.
Jane, and as harsh as what the brother Shamar said, as harsh as it sounds, there's a lot of validity to that, because again, nobody wants to go into a relationship in which they're going to play second fiddle. Nobody wants that, male or female. And hey, listen, we love our children, absolutely, and especially like Tamar said, as far as there being like, us being creatures of of habit. When you've been living a certain way for so long, and let's just say it's just been you and your children, whether it's the mother and the children or the father and the children, there's a certain mind state that's now been built where it's like, yes, it's me and my children against the world.
Right.
So of course, right, and that's just natural. So now going into a relationship situation, now here comes this prospective spouse that now comes on the scene. His position is definitely valid. That, hey, listen, I don't want to come in here on some, hey, I'm just the guy that's going to break you off, but I don't have any say so in any other part of the relationship. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, nobody doesn't want that, and the woman wouldn't want it either. She wouldn't want to come in and feel like that she's just there to to be a bed partner, but otherwise she has no say so in the ordering of her house. So, like the brother Shema said, a lot of this stuff has to be unpacked during the courting process. Like in the initial steps of the courting process, it has to be established. What am I coming in here to do? What is my purpose? And now that goes into my Oh, you was gonna say something, Shema?
No, I said right. That's my. So hopefully y'all know I wasn't trying to be harsh. I'm being serious. It's enough of the tiptoeing around. That's why a lot of us keep failing. So what he just said, we got to get it out there, But go ahead,
Kane. And right. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's harsh on one hand, but it's the truth, because again, people are sacrificing years of their lives in these relationships, and you can't get this back. This is not something that you can just automatically say, oh, okay, well, we'll chalk that up to experience and move on. And no, the clock is ticking. So, we want to get things right. So my position, would you marry someone who already has kids? Why or why not? My answer is, generally speaking, yeah. Generally speaking, yeah. I don't. Obviously there's no problem with it. Generally. Now, of course, with that said, there's a lot of things that have to be covered beforehand before that answer could even be quantified. And I kind of laid it out. If you don't mind, I've laid it out in a 6-point process that how I view it. The first thing right off rip, number one, how old are the children? For now, and again, this can apply to women too, but I can only speak as a man. Coming into the situation, how old are the children? If the children are 15, 16, 17, this is a completely different dynamic that a man coming into a relationship would have to deal with, as opposed to children who, let's just say, are 3, 4, and 5. There's a whole lot more that would have to be worked out with older children versus children who are not even old enough to tie their shoes. So that has to be worked out immediately. Number two, where are the children's biological parent? Where's he at? And again, as a man, I'm only going to speak from the perspective of a man going into a relationship with a woman who has children. Where are the fathers? The father or the fathers, whatever the case may be. Where are they at? Are they deceased? Are they in prison? Did they just up and just abandon the situation? And if so, what was the reason for the leaving? And then I would need to actually, I don't know how practical it would be, but I would actually want to speak to the said individuals.
Yep, I did that too.
Right, to say, hey, listen, I know you don't have a relationship with this sister here, whatever. I'm in a relationship with her, but I also respect boundaries. I understand that these are your children. At the end of the day, no matter how good of a man I can be to these children, these are your children. This is your bloodline. I need to know some things before I can move forward. And I would say this in the presence of this sister, so that there's no backstabbing, no sliding of anything. Everything is laid right on the platform. And so he can say, oh yeah, well, it just didn't work out with me and her, so I had to keep it moving. Oh, okay. whatever. And so that there's an understanding that I'm not coming in to take your children. I'm only here to be a spouse and to be a father figure to these children. And there's a difference of being a father figure versus a father, because I can never be these children's father in the realist biblical sense, but I can be a father figure. That's why it says to be as a father unto the fatherless. So that's number two. Where are the children's biological parents? Because these things have to be worked out for the obvious reasons. You don't want to come into a situation and dude is like, yo, what you got my children? Like, why you got my daughter? Like, so number three, what role does the absent parent currently play in the life of the children? Because they might not have any relationship with their children. They might have just abandoned and said, listen, I don't want nothing to do with that, any of that anymore. The woman or the children. I'm done. I'm over here. Or does he have a relationship with his children still? And that goes back into the second point, that now we as adults are going to have to sit down and figure out how are we going to move forward in the best for the best results of these children. Because and I would be mad, and I would make it clear to him, like, listen, I'm with this sister here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here. Like Ving Rhames said, this is my woman, whatever like that. So I'm not going anywhere. Now, with that said, we have to set up some parameters on how we are going to continue to raise these children. And I would prefer that the father would still have some type of role, even if it's a distant role, but some type of role, so that he can be assured that I'm not coming in and trying to undermine him. So again, all of these things would have to be discussed, with the three of us. Like, hey, listen, we're going to get this straight. And even if you decide to walk away after that and say, hey, listen, you go ahead and do you, and you be with her and whatever, cool. But at least we're clear after that on how we're moving forward. The number four, what is the nature of the relationship between the children? What did I say? The children and the absent parent. I think we already covered that. What is the nature of the relationship between the prospective spouse and the absent parent? Like, how did the relationship end? Was it amicable? Was it like, hey, listen, things aren't working out. Maybe it's just best that, I go my way, you go your way, and there's an agreement, and y'all just
y'all recently physical?
Say it again?
Was y'all recently still physical? All that, man. Go ahead.
Right. Right. I mean, all of these things
people do that, y'all.
Right. How long has it been since the relationship ended? Like, all of these things, whatever, because, feelings might still be involved. You know how it goes, the other parent, as long as they're separated, it's like, okay, yeah, they're out, out of sight, out of mind. But then what happens when homeboy rolls up to see his children, and then you were, then she's like, she's thinking about the old days, like, oh, I guess it wasn't so bad back then. And she starts, carrying on or whatever. I mean, these are things that have to be worked out, or did the relationship end on a bad note? Was it like a straight severing of the relationship? Like, yo, I am done with you, you piece of crap, and I'm done with you or whatever. And so that there's nothing else left over. All of these things, of course, now has to be dealt with, because again, as the prospective husband coming into a situation, I have to know that whatever your relationship or your situation with this individual, whatever the nature of it was, I need to know that it is done and it has been, that everything is finished and there's nothing else there anymore. Because that also plays a role in how the children are going to now respond to the situation. And also the last one, am I coming in, and I think the brother Shema covered this, am I coming in as a spouse only or as a spouse parent figure with rights and privileges as such? What am I coming in as? Am I there to be, a father figure and to be a spouse, or am I pretty much coming in to physically service the woman, and then when it comes to the real issues of family, I'm kind of neatly tucked away in the closet somewhere.
That sounds so horrible, Zebulon.
I know. But
that's what happens. Trust me.
I'm gonna laugh. But I'm laughing because it's hilarious.
No,
Crazy, man.
And unfortunately, and like I said at the beginning of this, unfortunately, these are scenarios that I've seen play out in family members' lives. I've seen the like the levels of deception and and these just the relationships just horribly going wrong because of insane motives and situations where, okay, this guy he's there pretty much just to break her off, but when it comes to him saying anything to the children like, hey, wait, what y'all over there doing? You're not their father, you can't say nothing. Oh, so I'm a male whore. That's what I'm here for. I'm just here to give you, to service your body, but other than that, and service your pockets. But other than that, I have nothing else to say here. And these are real life situations. You have a lot of people who they're in relationships like this. And it's the same thing in reverse. You have sisters who feel the same way, where they feel like they're constantly fighting the legacy of the mother. Like, no matter what they do in the house, you're not my mother, or you ain't there. You're not their my children's mother. You're my wife, but you're not their mother. Like, okay, so again, why am I here again? And so in that respect, I agree with you, Tamar, that these situations have to be package deals. There is no such thing as me being with you, but I have nothing to do with your children, or you being with me, but have nothing to do with my children. Like, no. So you're absolutely correct in your platform, and so is Shema. Like, and I think that what Shema is basically saying, and hopefully I'm not jacking up his message here, is that all of this stuff has to be reconciled beforehand. It has to be before we even get to the point of there being a serious aspect of the courting. In the very beginning stages of that courting process, these things have to be laid out right on the table immediately. Let's not wait. Right. Let's not wait until, the relationship gets a little deeper and it's more flowery and we're all happy and skipping through Central Park and all that stuff. No. We're gonna fix this situation right here, right now. Put it right on the table.
That would be normally, and it has last 2 times I spoke, courted or whatever you want to call it. That was one of my first conversations. I cannot have no boundaries. What I mean by that, I'm going to treat your children the same way I treat mine. Now you got to see how I treat my children. And that will let you know if you want to be a part or me be a part of your family. I don't have to put my hands on my children. I don't use profanity in my children. I'm no knocking people that do, of course. But, I don't have to do that. But I am stern. I'm firm. I'm balanced. I'm loving. I'm all of that. But I step in when need be. If I see your child jumping walking on your couch, but you allow them to do it when I wasn't there, and this is part of my home too now, guess what? Hey, don't walk on that couch. Not because I'm just telling you not to do it, but guess what? I've seen somebody fall off a couch and break their neck. Yeah. You being too harsh on them. No, I'm not. The moment he fall, when you at the store or something, and he break a bone on his neck, who you looking at when you get back home? So I'm just using an example. So that's how I am with my children. I have to have that no boundary, just like I won't give you boundary. You have no boundaries when it comes to Melody and Caleb. Guess what? This is your house. They are your children. You know what I'm saying? Or father, motherly figure. But in my book, hey, what she say? What she tell y'all? Because I know that their best interest is, how you say that? Saying you have their best interest at heart. So that's with me. So hopefully I cleared it up a little bit for those that might be listening or listen later. It has to be no boundaries, because I've witnessed that when I was younger with my stepdad and my mom. My mom was like that, big time, and I told her about that right now, like within a year. As me being an adult though now, like yeah, that wasn't good. And you take away his manhood too. He didn't feel he could say anything, and that caused drama between y'all two now. Or what's the word I'm looking for, y'all? When you resentment and stuff. So with that, I yield.
Okay, and I just briefly, I just want to just to reiterate that because I'm looking at some of the comments and very good very good feedback, but I just want to say though that I think that on this show that a lot of the things that we talk about and that we present, we try to present as things and as real as we can present it, but also present more lofty ways of seeing things, because one thing that we're very clear on is that we have become, as a people, we've become proficient at failed relationships. We're proficient at failing in relationships. And I think one of the reasons why relationships are failing is because we continue to use the same old failing models. We have models that we have been given decades ago that just didn't work, and we're continuing to wallow in these methodologies of and so, like, even when I said about sitting down with with my perspective, with the prospective wife, and then the children's father, one of the reasons why I think that's important is because you have situations where the man might just bypass any type of dealing with the father of those children, and he steps in to be a father, whatever the case may be, without even knowing what was the reasons for this brother even leaving the situation. And if that man feels that another man is coming in to do whatever, usurp his position, with his children or whatever, I've seen situations where it didn't end well. It ended with people coming in with guns and, like, yo, you're not gonna do this with my child or whatever the case. And we can see that it will get ugly. And so I think that we have to kind of raise the bar in our interactions with one another, and with the the former partner, the former, whether it's the husband or the former wife, because at the end of the day, as adults, we can feel however we want to feel about each other. He may not like me, I don't dig you, dude. Okay, yeah, cool. Whatever. I don't like her, whatever. We can say all that as adults, but at the end of the day, there's children that has to be considered in all of this. The children have to be considered. And now it becomes the issue of, are we willing to be big men and big women and sit down and fix these situations so that no matter what the outcome between the three of us is, the children are still going to get the best possible outcome in this. That's if we're going to be big men and big women. So that's why I just want to put that out there so that just to kind of clarify certain a few other things that we may discuss on here, and that I just find it just important that we keep in mind, like the sister said, I don't know if it was Sister Clarissa or Sister Robin, but just the importance of putting the children first. They have to become first in the relationship, as far as no matter what we do and however this relationship pans out, the children have to be considered.
I want to say something real quick. I am live. That's not what I want to say though. I was reading some of the comments, and all valid. I think it's one issue though. A lot of the things that we're bringing out, it's not being done. So it's a model. I think he was bringing out that it's a continuing standard or um, scenario. That's what I meant to say. That we always see. We see what a man don't want another man in the house. Then you have the man that's in the house that's like, well, I'm the man. This back and forth strong type of vibe. So it's never any concrete, productive conversation. But you don't see situations like he was bringing out, like, hey, you know what? Hey, man, I want to go meet the father. Maybe we go to the gym, shoot some hoops, go get some breakfast or something, have a good conversation instead of this territorial man that's coming in the picture. A lot of times that I think that's like the sister that was making the comment, and I've seen it, I'm sure you all seen it. I haven't seen the type of scenario that Chief Zebulon was bringing out. A man that's coming into the picture, not trying to show that he's the man. You don't see them coming in like, hey man, I just want to talk to you, man, get to know you, because I'm around the woman of your children, tell you a little bit about me, just come with a nice mind, balanced, with peace. You don't see that. If that was the case, it'd be, I think the narrative would be different. You still have that concern that there's some crazy people out there. But I think that's part of the courting process. Not only just the man and the woman courting, but you're also courting the parents, the father and or mother of the children, to get an idea, get their character, see what type of person their temperament, how they are. This type of approach is very, I think, rare. And if this type of approach was put out there more, then you'll be able to see, oh man, you know what, this dude got his temper a little, he snapped real quick, We don't see these things because we're just jumping. We're just jumping into this relationship. I'm attracted to this man. I'm attracted to this woman. I don't care they got children, man, but her body nice. I don't care if he got children, man, his teeth is gorgeous, his eyes is this and that, blah, blah, blah. That's what people are thinking of. They're not coming into, we're going back to like what we were saying last week, courting. All this stuff would be nipped in the bud if courting was really done properly. And people be more level-headed. One more thing, watch this. A lot of times, the man and or woman want to show that they're this man and or woman because they was physical with their partner too. You take that physical aspect away, and it's more so core. Now you could be more calm when you're talking to the father and or mother of the children if you meet them. A lot of people going up in there. I got my feelings is for my woman, but I've been physical with them. I'm telling y'all, that physical really plays a part on how you act towards a person. So with that, I yield. I hope I wasn't like ranting or what I was saying was making some sense. But I just think what I gather from Zebulon is if the approach was different. You came to this man as a man, respectful. He would listen. I've done it before. When the mother of my daughter first started dealing with an individual years ago. Of course, she's not with him anymore. I had talked to him. I asked her, "Can you bring him over?" She was sitting up in the other room, but then she came in there, and I was talking to him like a man. I wasn't saying, "Hey, man, you better make sure you don't touch my daughter." I wasn't doing none of that. I was talking to him like a man. Hey, man, I know that you're in a relationship with the mother of Melody. Just want to let you know I am in my daughter's life. If there's anything, y'all need it when I'm not around, just make sure you call me. I'm here, this and that. And then it was one moment when Melody ended up in a hospital because she had like some breathing problem when she was younger. And he was there. He showed up. I was there. And Melody was cool. We ended up going to his car, chilling for a minute. It's It's just the approach. That's it. That's it. So a lot of things that were said in the comments is facts. But if it was a different narrative, we wouldn't see some of that stuff. That's just my personal opinion.
And just keep in mind too that, like you said, it has a lot to do with approach, because we got to remember something, especially in the case of men dating women with children. Although it can be in reverse as well. Men are, I'm not gonna say more territorial than women, but they're territorial. As a man, the idea of another man now having your wife or ex-wife or whatever is, even if the relationship ended badly, there's an ego issue there. Because you start visualizing another guy in your house or your former house with your former wife, and you start thinking about the things. What is he in there doing with her? Like, whatever. And it's like just the thought of it is insane. So he knows that he's already lost out on that level. Now the thought of this same person coming in, who's already, who's already conquered the woman, conquered his woman, is now coming in and conquering his children. Who's coming in now? He's the father figure in the children's life. That man's ego is going to rattle his skull. And this is the reason why you have situations that if they're not approached correctly, you're going to get those situations where the guy now comes up to the house like, yo, man, I don't care what you're doing with her. You ain't going to be coming in here telling my children what to do. And then the other man's like, well, yo, dude, why are you even coming at me like that? Yo, what's good? And he might be, yo, what's good? And the next thing you know, guns get pulled out. I mean, so many horrible scenarios can play out in these things if there isn't some type of, adult discussions beforehand. And one of those things is disarming the ex-spouse and letting them know that, listen, I'm not here to compete with you or against you or compete against your legacy. You still need to be a part of your children's life. I'm doing my part. I do what I'm doing, whatever like that, as a father figure, but you are still those children's father. My job is to make sure that they have the best possible outcome in this relationship, and it would be better if we were all on the same page when it comes to them, as opposed to being against each other. Once you let the person know that, listen, it is not a competition, brother. It ain't even that type of party. I think it disarms the ego. Now he may not feel like there's something like he has to fight against something. It's like, nah, bro. I care about these children just like you care about them. Let's do let's do what is necessary so for them to receive the best possible outcome. So I just kind of camelbacking off what Shamar's saying, that it's all in the approach. It has to be approached maturely. And all of this stuff, again, like you said, has to be done in the beginning stages of courting. You can't wait till after we're married and living, and next thing you know, oh yeah, by the way, here's the children's father. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, I agree. This conversation is excellent. I love, and thank y'all for commenting online. Clarissa, Hayabad, Shoshana, Robin. We really appreciate y'all thoughts because they always, like I say often, is that they help to present reality so we can really get to the root of our dysfunction as a people. So one thing I wanted to say is I want to hold on to your thought, Zebulon, about father figure as we get to the next question. But so I'll just give my thoughts about whether or not I would marry somebody with kids. The answer is yes, but I agree with everything that you all have said. It needs to be clear about who I am, right? And I used to say, I used to say I didn't want nobody. I didn't want to deal with somebody who had kids. I used to say that. Then then I would say, and the wife can't be alive. The mama can't be alive, because I was like, she always gonna be a thorn in my side. That's how I used to feel, right? And I don't know. I can't say that that's the case now. This conversation has opened up my eyes, but I had a situation where that was the case where the person like, we was talking about, being together, but the person like never told their kids, you know what I'm saying? Like about the intent to like, for us to merge households, you know what I'm saying? So, and then it ended up becoming a problem, and they didn't understand. I don't think they might be sitting back now thinking about it, but at the time they didn't understand why I was so adamant about it. But it's the same thing you all are saying now. The reason why is because I feel like every kid is my child, like for real. I don't say it lightly. Like every child I come across is my child. So if I can't, of course with love and kindness, because somebody you mentioned about whipping your kids, you know what I'm saying? I whipped my kids before, but it's a time and place for everything. I wouldn't whip them now because they big, you know what I'm saying? And I've always talked to my children face to face like they was adults. I never did the baby talk stuff. I used to like, look at here, what's going on, and talk to them. So there's a room and there's a place to deal with children in a way that they'll understand and feel safe and feel secure. But if you don't, if the person with the children, whatever side it is, if they don't establish your presence as the mirror version of them, it's going to be problems. Like it has to be that
Wow.
it has to be that, like you said, Shamaz, I love that. When the woman left, and if you at home with the kid, they doing something, you can't be like, well, we're gonna wait till your mama get home to see if you should touch the stove or not. I mean, that's just stupid. You know what I'm saying? And it's funny. What's interesting about that is that we give strangers more control over our children. When we send our children to public school, they come home with their little field trip letters that you have to sign and say, yes, take my kid out the building. But they be with your kids all day long. You don't have to. They don't call you every 2 seconds saying, hey, should I teach them this, or they don't. We don't do that with other nations, other groups of people. But when it comes to our own intimate relationships, we have such a problem. And this is not the same topic, but you can say the same thing applies in your immediate family. Let's just say there's a mom-in-law or whatever, father-in-law or grandma. Like, we give a lot of grief to the people that look just like us. And that, I think, is a bigger issue, and probably not the time to talk about it right now. But I think that, what's the phrase? It says familiarity breeds contempt. So I do believe that for some reason we just don't like each other. This is the weirdest thing. So, but I do believe too that that I would marry somebody who had kids, but it would only be if from jump they was like, you're like a mother figure, or whatever you want to term it, to them, because everything that I would do would be in love. It would never be to harm. And I think that if you are dealing with somebody who has children, you should be able to see. And like I think one of y'all said, if they treating their kids wrong, you probably shouldn't be with them anyway. Let's just say, for example, like I didn't have kids, right? Mm-hmm. And I met a guy, and he didn't see his kids that often, and he was like treating them like crap. Why would I even want to insert myself in that? It's gonna be a problem.
Thank you. A lot of it be our own fault. That's what I'm talking about. I'm sorry I had to jump in.
That's okay.
That's what. Look. This is all I want to say. I wish that like all the TVs is just cut off right now, and it'll just, whoever watching TV or at the movie theaters or at concerts, we'll just pop up in this conversation and just boom. We are our own problems of the relationships we end up in. We see these things. Why are you going to be with this dude that is treating his own children like crap? Oh, because he got green eyes. Because he got some baby hair coming out his eyebrow.
Oh my God!
Because he chiseled up like like Thor. That's why. Everything is physical. Somebody said it in the comment when I think she was commenting on when I said courting the family, and I think she said something like, believe them what they show you. Everything is in front of us. So the things that we ended up in is our fault. People will disagree with me on that, and I understand. We see it's something shown with the person that you're with. I really do not believe that it takes that a person is not who they are for 3 or 4 or 5 years, and then all of a sudden, boom, now they done, you saw something. You ignored it because it didn't affect you. So
Yes, I agree. Because I'm guilty. The same person I'm talking about they was cussing their kids out. Why was I even there? Why was I even around?
So, yeah. Real quick, I want to comment on what you said about the whooping. Hey, I'm believing in chastising your children. I want to make anybody think that I was saying not to. I just was blessed with the voice of God.
Sit down.
To where I just say something and they, you know what I'm saying? So I ain't never really had to do it with them. Now their mom, they got issues, but when I'm around, you know, they attend hut, you know. I don't know.
No, I mean yeah, and much respect, and I'm glad that you even offered that as an alternate solution, because I mean, like I said, Black people are not a monolithic. Is that the right word? Zebulon, help me out. We're not a monolithic people. Thank you. There's diversity even amongst us, and I think it's important to like say that we don't all whoop our kids. We don't all be calling them out their name in public. I mean, no, we don't do that. You know what I'm saying? So again, it's about aligning yourself ideally with somebody who is. I said mirror image earlier, and I think that I don't really like that word, but I don't know how else to explain similarity when it comes to relationships. But because nobody's you is really you, but you know what I'm saying? Some kind of alignment has to be obvious to the point where you all can work from that foundation, still be individual, but have something that you all agree on. So, but yes, so I wanted to say that. So I was saying that yes, I would, and I think that only if I have permission to like be a parent, you know what I'm saying? And I was just saying too, when I start talking about the other how people deal with their kids, like that's important too, because if you see the person is nurturing and you're not necessarily nurturing, then that was going to be a problem. Now going to the next question, and I wanted to I'm gonna read it. It's how would you introduce yourself to your partner's children in the dating phase? It's the next question I want us to go to, but I'm interested about the concept of father figure, because again, we know a mother figure if the person is alive. Now again, we're not necessarily talking, right? I don't know. Like I'm a widow, so their father is literally not here, right? But even in my situation, like the person would never be their father. So I guess even in my situation with a widow, you still would have, it would be a figure of something. So I'm just curious to see about, what y'all think about if you all were in a courting situation and you was like, yeah, this is gonna work, we're gonna work towards this working. How would you introduce yourself to your future wife's children? Who would you say you was? Would you be like, I'm this dude from around the corner, or would you? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just playing. Go ahead.
I would come in like this. I'd be like, hey, what I want you to do when I come in, dim the lights. I'm gonna come in. I'm gonna say, I'm Batman. I'm sorry.
That's so silly.
I'm sorry. That's a good question. That's a good question. And I don't even know how to answer that right now, because I'm real tactful, and I wouldn't want to just be laid out in front of them like, hey, this is who I am. I would like to go through they're going to be within that courting process too. But you're saying once we make the decision, like that's what you're saying? I would like to think that by then I already would have established a good relationship with them. The sister just said real quick before I finish answering your question, she made a good point. When children have an active father, they tend to not want another male figure around. A lot of times,
interesting.
this is the approach part, though. This is the approach part. She's right. But the reason that that's the case is because of the approach of that other male figure. How does he come in the situation with the children? Is he trying to be that? Has he established to them that he's not coming in to try to take the place? It's approach. Everything is approach. I believe that the flip side of what she's saying, I think that if that person through that courting process has established a good relationship with them, and also, like I said, let them know that they wasn't trying to make that take that place of their father, but understand at the same time that me and the mother are adults. I like to use metaphors or analogies. If a child is in
Some
school,
might call them idioms, but never
yeah,
mind.
sorry. Um, all I will want to do is establish respect. I will respect you, and you respect me. Even as a child, as a teenager, whatever the case may be, respect is very important. And if you show the children respect, even if you are chastising them, or I don't want to say chastising, uh, pouring wisdom their way, they're going to respect it. I think approach is everything. If you just say, sit down, go do this, I told you to, you don't got to be that way. But some people don't know no other way but to do that. And there's nothing wrong with it. But I believe that, and now I'm being long-winded. I know I am. I believe that as far as with the sister, what she has said, if the approach is different, the children will be fine. They will actually welcome you. Perfect example. My uncle, which is a year younger than me, he married a woman that was like 5 years older, 6 years older than him. And she already had a 15-year-old and a 13-year-old. Now, 7 years later, or 8 years later now, he was 28, he should be 34. About 6 years later now, they're calling him father, dad, and all that stuff. They was doing that within the first few years. His approach was different. It wasn't, no, I'm coming in this household, I'm running y'all. It was respect. You respect me, I respect you. You respect your mom. Respect her, period, but especially in my presence. Treat me the same way that you would treat a teacher if you're in class. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, with that type of approach, I don't believe the children would be like, well, my dad around, I don't need you around. It's the approach. If you're the type of person that's coming into a relationship and you're what I say goes, oh yeah, man, I don't want my father around. I don't need you. Yeah. But if you one that's really trying to, with a loving approach and, really be there for the children, everything that you're presenting to them is really for their best interest, they're going to respect that. And I'm speaking from somebody that's been through it as a man, as a boy. So that's it.
Okay. And it's really touchy because, again, you're dealing with children. Children aren't able to process information on the same wavelength as adults can. There's certain things that adults can hear and deal with that they can just chalk it up and say, okay, yeah, whatever. But children, they interpret things a little bit differently, and they're more sensitive to things that they don't understand. Like, we always talk about how, we even tell children, having conversations with adults, hey, listen, this is an adult conversation. You don't understand what's going on. And sometimes children may not really know the dynamics of the relationship. Why is mommy with this guy here? Who is this guy? That's not daddy. That's not Abba. That's not, you see what I'm saying? And they want, they want to know, why is he here? What role does he play? And I think that the success or failure of any type of, introduction of the children, and let me just say before that I'm going to assume that when we're talking about dating, we're talking about the courting process. And with that said, the success or failure of any introduction of the children to that new parent figure rests solely on it rests solely in the hands of the children's parents. So in the case of, let's say, with me, that's really in the hands of the mother to lay out that red carpet, in a sense, with her children. Because me coming from an outside, I can say anything, whatever like that. They don't have to believe me. They look at me as an intruder at this point. Who is this guy? But it's important that the mother, or at least the parent, if it's a reverse situation, but it's important that they kind of lay certain things out to the children to prepare for that eventual meeting. And I think that meeting should happen a significant amount of time down the road. Because one thing that we as so-called Black people have a habit of doing is we have a habit of introduce every male or female that we get involved with, we immediately introduce them to the children. And we introduce them in a way, right, we introduce them in such a way as if it's already established, we're together, we're gonna get married, and this person, you know, has this real trumped up position in the house now. And then let's say 2 weeks go by, this person proves to be a deadbeat dude or a deadbeat female or whatever the case may be. And now the children are left saying, well, wow, okay, this guy just went from being Uncle so-and-so to a possible daddy. Now he's gone. And now mommy or daddy is bringing some new person in. And now they got to get to know this person. And then this person. And then this person. And as a child, I experienced that firsthand. Seeing all of these Uncle so-and-sos coming on in, and then they disappear. And then a new one comes in and then disappears. And a new one comes in and disappears. That does a lot of damage to children. Because right off rip, they began to learn a valuable lesson, an unfortunate lesson, but a valuable lesson about what? About distrust. And that spouses and people who you bring into your life, they're expendable. They can easily be discarded, can easily be brought in. There's no real value. And this has a lot to do with, this plays a major role with children who grow up in those type of environments. When they get older, they begin to see their, like with me, I began to see females that were my age, 13, 14, 15, in the same, with the same lens of you're expendable. As quickly as you came in, I can get rid of you and bring in someone else. And get rid of them and bring in someone else. Because these are the images and these are the lessons that we're teaching these children. So my thing is that the meeting of the meeting of let's say the woman's children, it has to happen way down the road. And when I say way down the road, meaning that in a courting scenario, there has to be enough time had to have lapsed so that the children's parent and the Hebraic counselor / elder who is overseeing the courting process can make an assessment and say, you know what, you two are definitely compatible. You're looking real good. I recommend that you move forward in your courting process and seriously start considering marriage. And once it's established that we're now ready to move forward along those lines, and that the relationship has now become serious, where marriage is now an inevitable end, then the children now can possibly meet the man. Because the parent has already established that, yes, I'm serious with this guy. This situation is going down. He's going to be around. He's going to be around for the long haul. Now I can introduce him into my children's lives. But again, it all has a lot to do with how the mother sets the stage. She has to now have that communication with her children so that she can lay out the carpet in a sense, so that when this strange guy comes on the scene, they're not looking at him as, who is this? They're like, oh, this is so-and-so, okay. And, and again, it differs from relationship to relationship. I mean, not all children process information the same way and so on and so forth. So it's going to be some differences. But I just think that a sufficient amount of time has to go by before children get introduced to that prospective parent.
Now, real quick, if you allow me to speak on that, that's what do you normally say, Zebulon? That's the ideal way or something like that you should go about it. Another alternative, I would say, I ain't gonna say more realistic because his way was actually realistic, but there's some of us that's not a part of a camp, don't have elders, right? Hopefully you got wisdom. You a perfect example. My daughter's out there, so I'm gonna kind of try to say this lower when I say it. Her mom has, since we So she's 10 now. No, about to be 11, so 10 now. She's been with like 4 different people since or 3 or 4 different people since after me. My daughter has met one person out of her whole life, other than her mom. And I was with that person for 4 years at that. I think that you put an ideal time limit out there. Some people, they want to bring the children in early because they want to see if the children would like the man. That's how some people operate too. I'm not opposed to that, but I think that ideally, what Zebulon was bringing out is probably the best way. The reason I say it's the best way, in today's society, it's not going to be it's not going to be the best way, especially for what I see from and hear from more women, that it wouldn't be the best way because they want to make sure that the children gets along with the person that you're with, right? The reason I say his is the best way because what's the foundation of a home? Man, woman. Today in society, it's reversed. It's woman, children, or man, children. That's why it keeps failing. That's why we keep failing. Our mindset today and our fear and our choices. In the comment section, I'm seeing some things that are speaking on a lot of fear, and it's rightfully so. But our choices feeds that fear, feeds the results, can't even say the word, of that fear. Are you going from, this going back to his scenario he brought out, how many people have you brought in around your children? Man or woman? I know I got some guys that have brought 3 different females around their children. I'm not judging it, but I'm showing, what's up, Aki? I'm pointing out a scenario, a constant scenario that we see. Real quick, and I'm gonna finish what I was saying. I think people have a real issue with sustaining from sex and just courting. Yes, that is the biggest thing. Real quick, she said, what happens when the step parent mess up? They aren't given the grace a biological parent is given. How much grace should a step parent get? I wish we could get some of the sisters on because I really want to know what she meant by that question. But last thing I'm gonna say, I'm gonna be done after this because I lost a lot of my train of thought. I think his way is the ideal way that he brought out, because at the end of the day, you're looking or you're wanting a lifelong successful partner. So you two have to be good before bringing the children in or bringing them around the children. Then I think it should be like a courting process with the children. Now, remember I said family, friends, and all that, but I think it should be a certain courting session with the children. That might not make sense what I'm saying, but you do want to see how you all are. Because a lot of women today, I've talked to a few, they base the decision of being with the man, if they're not physically invested, off of how the children react and respond and act around this person that they're with. So last thing I'm gonna say is the biggest thing out of this whole conversation I'm steady going to is courting. That's it. No sex. That's it. That's it.
And be mindful too, because again, looking at some of the comments, one sister said, I agree that the parents are the foundation and I would not introduce too soon. I just would not wait until I'm at the point of marriage. Serious, definitely, but not at marriage. And yes, and let me just be a little bit more clear in that, because I think there was some things that I stated that assumed that some other things was understood, and I made these statements. But when I say with marriage and courting is a very long process in best case scenarios. In a Hebraic standpoint, this is not this is not the 50-yard dash. This is a marathon, whatever. Because again, people's lives are at stake, people's time, commodities that you can't get back. These things are at stake. So if we're talking marriage, then we're going to have to figure this out for the long haul. And so with courting, depending on the Hebrew communities that you're a part of, courting might be as short as 90 days and can be as long as 2 years. And so in a situation like that, you can get to a point where, let's say 6 months of courting, you've come to the conclusion, let's say as the woman, you're like, you know what? I definitely can see myself in a marriage with this brother. I can definitely see it. And vice versa. He sees her and says, yeah, this is really, I can see this. Now, we're serious. And we know that yes, we're going to get married, but that marriage might not come for another year and a half, because there's still some growing that has to be done. So of course, I'm not definitely aren't suggesting that, that as soon as we get to feeling each other, like after 90 days, all right, let's go get married. Like, no. There's still a lot of work that has to be done, but at least we're done with the preliminary stuff. We're done with the, the honeymoon period, where we're getting past all of the, the best faces we put on. And now we're getting an opportunity to see into each other. And are we actually compatible for the long haul? So again, the marriage might not happen for another year and a half, but we're at least at a position where we're like, you know what? We're serious enough to where we're now considering marriage. And now we can start the process of bringing in the children and seeing how the children react to, whether it's the man or whether it's the woman. So I didn't want the sister to think that I was saying, hey, as soon as we're feeling each other, yeah, let's go get married and let's introduce the children. Like, no, this is a much longer process under best case scenario. We don't want to do things like how African Americans do it, because clearly that has shown to be a failure. Of just jumping the gun. We've been together for 30 days and now we down at City Hall. So yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. And I'm sure that the brother Abad wants to bring some information to the table.
Before you speak though, real quick, I'm sorry, Aki. I'm sorry.
You good.
Tamar, did you have anything? Because I know me and Zed have been speaking like crazy. So
no, I was gonna wait until Abad said something, and I was gonna come in last, just because he's a guest. Welcome.
Okay.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Shalom.
Good.
First, I'd like to say this is an excellent topic. You know what I'm saying? Definitely got to be talked about. Of course, as you know, I'm a Muslim, so I bring the same but just a little bit different, energy with it. And as far as the first thing is, Islamically, when it comes to getting married to an individual, the reasons we're marrying for, and the way that we go, the protocol, like for example, a person could put on the front all day, who they is. They'll be a representative, of what they think you want, to get you. So, in Islam, we're told to talk to people of that community that person is from, who know this person and know this person's character and known them for years, So you can really know who you're dealing with, And a lot of people don't do that, They see the person, they just go straight up, So that's the first thing. So once you know this person's character, then as a man, we're not even really supposed to talk to the female too much anyway. We're supposed to go to in Islam, it's called their wali, which is their guardian, or wakil. So we go talk to their father or their brother or uncle, or maybe the religious leader of the community, that's representing them. And we come to them, for the possibility of marriage. Then once that's cool, they check you out. They go to the sister. They tell the sister the brother's interested in you. Y'all see each other. If y'all attracted to each other, y'all interested in each other, getting to know each other, then y'all start to get to know each other. And y'all get to know each other, we're not even really supposed to do too much talking without a third party. Just so that nothing will be said or nothing will be done that's out of whack. Because in Islam, they say that when a man and a woman is alone, the devil is with them as well. You know what I'm saying? And this is to prevent fornication. You know what I mean? So in that time period, if y'all courting, getting to know each other, whatever, you know what I'm saying? The man might have children, you know what I'm saying? The woman might have children. If you go through those steps, those first steps, you know what I'm saying? Those first steps about character and religion, you know what I'm saying? And, you know what I'm saying? Just the honor of both of the people. Then, you know, those are the biggest details. Now you're going into, all right, we got children. You know, the woman might have children. And this is a big problem we have too, like y'all was saying earlier, a lot of times the men or the women don't want to get with somebody that got children. You know what I'm saying? And Islam, it encourages us to actually marry women that may have children. You know what I'm saying? Because it's the responsibility of the men. We are the protectors and maintainers. You know what I'm saying? So, and we already know that there's more women than men out here. So, you know, we got all these women out here who are single mothers trying to take care of their children. They can't do it by themselves. So you can't just X them out because, you know, something that, you know, is like an Americanized mindset, you know what I'm saying? Because this ain't got nothing to do with religious mindset, you know what I'm saying? It's your own selfish, you know, things that you want. So me, for example, I can speak for myself. I was married to a woman who had children, you know what I'm saying? But I think people, you know what I'm saying, I think they think too much when it comes to, like, you know, the other party having children. Children are simple, man. You know what I'm saying? Children are really simple. And they're a lot smarter than we think too. You know what I'm saying? They can smell if you got some evil energy with you, or if you got some good energy. You know what I'm saying? And when it comes to children, man, I love children. You know what I'm saying? So, like, a lot of times when I see them, we have a bond off rip. You know what I mean? Because I understand. You know what I'm saying? Plus, I grew up with my parents divorced. You know what I'm saying? And other parties coming in there. And I've seen, you know what I'm saying, those stepfathers that, you know what I'm saying, all they want is the mother, and they look at you like you just like, why you here? You know what I'm saying? Type of thing. You know what I mean? So, like, I would never, ever do that. Plus, the religion, not just morally, but the religion tells you, you know, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the way that he treated children. You know what I'm saying? And how he tells us to treat children, how he tells us to love children and kiss children and play with them and everything. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's like it's a bad cloud over everybody when it comes to children. Like, you know, it's not my child, so it ain't my problem type of thing. You know what I mean? Now, with Islam and being introduced, the first thing I established a little relationship with them, and there's something you said about respect, you know, establishing the respect. But the respect that I established first is that I respect them. For example, when I talk to the children, if I'm interested in marrying their mother, I ask the children, I'm interested in marrying your mother. I would like to be her husband. Is that a problem with you? Do you have a problem with that? Is that something that would bother you? I involve them in that. I let them know that their opinion, their mindset, you know what I'm saying, their feelings matter. You know what I'm saying? And based off of how they feel, we move off of that. So if, you know, they're not really comfortable right off the gate, you know what I'm saying, then we'll swim with that. You know what I'm saying? If they with it, you know, they say, yeah, I would like to be married, mom. You know what I'm saying? Then, all right, we move like that. You know what I'm saying? But I like to involve them with the process, you know what I'm saying, as far as, like, if there's a marriage that's going to come, potentially, then I would like them to know that these are my intentions, and this is what I plan to do based off of what our Lord tells the men to do for our families. You know what I'm saying? And I would like your approval. You know what I'm saying? Just like I would like the guardians' approval, I would like their approval. You know what I'm saying? So,
Wisdom, bro.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I'm putting I'm giving them respect. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, a lot of people want respect, but they never give it. You know what I'm saying? They never get it. So I give them that respect. They return it. I give them good character and kindness and gentleness. They return it. You know what I'm saying? That makes the mother even more comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Because now you're showing you respect. You don't just respect her and her family, you respect her children too. You know what I mean? That's a big thing. You know what I mean? And so with my children, what I look for, you know what I'm saying? I look for the woman to have the same mindset that I have. You know what I'm saying? Like it's our job to mold these children into people of good character, to adults of good character and good religion. You know what I'm saying? So if the woman isn't upon that, I'll know that before I even introduce them because I went through the protocol. Before we even go any further, once I talk to the people in the community about this person, I already know what I need to know. So if they say, "Hey, man, I mean, she's a good girl and all, but you know, she didn't." Once I hear that a couple of times, I'm good. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, and I'm gonna jump in. Yeah, sorry, but I'm gonna jump in too, and I appreciate you, sharing your thoughts and stuff with us and your experiences, because like I said, this topic is not like something that happens in isolation, so the more voices we get on it, the better understand, especially with the solutions. I like how you brought the solutions in when you telling, what I'm saying, be a testimony and stuff. So I want to move to the last two questions before we get off this thing. And the next question is, how important is adoption in like establishing the role of a step parent? Do you think it's important to do that or no? So that's the question. I'm curious about your thoughts on that.
To adopt?
Yeah, like you have to adopt in order to be a parent. I'm just asking. And I guess that would only be the case if the person is the father.
Islamically, from what I understand, we're not supposed to do that. Islamically. And I'm going to get you more details on that because I don't know if it's that they can't. I know for a fact they can't inherit your name. They can't inherit the man's name. You know what I'm saying? As far as the adoption, like just saying, this person is under me legally, I don't know if that's an issue, but I'll get you that information for sure. But we know for a fact that they can't inherit that man's name. You know what I'm saying? And the proof of that is that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he took under his stepson Zayd. He took under Zayd and he gave Zayd his name. Immediately, Allah sent down revelation saying, change his name back to his name of his father. He cannot take his name. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to that part of it, we know for a fact we can't do that. Also, another thing I wanted to put in there, as far as like, sometimes the children get comfortable with the man, they might want to call him daddy and stuff like that. That's not permissible either because they have a father. You know what I'm saying? And it's the reason why it's so like firm on that is because it's showing you how important it is for the father to take care of their children to the point where it's not even the man's responsibility. If he marries a woman that has children with another man, it's not that man's responsibility to take care of them. It's the father's responsibility to make sure that they're good. The woman is not even supposed to have to worry about the finances of that child. She's just supposed to nurture them. Now, is that realistic now? Of course, that ain't the case, 100% of today. And of course, a good man is going to do, for those children, you know what I'm saying? But that is the whole, that's the whole big picture with that, you know what I'm saying? So like adoption, like I'll get the full detailed information. I can't see it as far as like being legally under you. But as far as them getting that name, they cannot inherit the name. You know what I'm saying?
And
Thank you for that.
I'm real short, because I don't really have any comments toward it. What the brother was bringing out, like if we really listen to what he said, it makes so much sense. It's not realistic today, like he said, like people are not going like that today, but it makes sense. Like when you really think about it, it's like the mother and the father is very important, even when they're not together anymore. That is the father of the child. That is the mother of the child. They created him. That is their property by state law. If y'all study law, our children is really our property. Well, it's actually the state's property now, but they're property. So that's why I can see what he's talking about. And that's all I got. But as far as adoption, I ain't never thought about that. That's a good question. I never thought about that.
You want to chime in, J-Mo?
Oh no, I'll add when you're done. Actually, well, I'm just real quick. Sorry. When the band said what he said about the father's name, I mean, we got a story in the book about that. So maybe I never thought about that. Like, I guess you would be taking over, and that wouldn't work. Like, that don't work in the Hebraic sense at all. So I just, as I said, I thought about like that wouldn't even work. But yeah, but people still in this world, African Americans still like that's an option. So I just was curious about how we. Go ahead.
Wait,
Shimon.
I'm gonna tell you how serious it is real quick. If you think of Torah, the name of the father, specifically speaking, is so important. It's a law that if the father dies, the brother.
Exactly, yeah.
I was going to go into that. Yeah.
Right. The brother is to wife the mother of the dead father, just so his name can continue. That name is important. So I can see what he's talking about again as far as taking the name. Go ahead, though. That's in Torah.
Okay. And although obviously there's some theological differences between whether we're talking about Islam or whether we're talking about with Israelites, but the one thing that is a constant is the culture of of Muslims is nearly identical with the culture of the ancient Israelites. Why? Because they were relatives. They moved in the same circles. They moved with the same general concepts. But again, certain theological differences, of course, came along the way. But it's the same concept. The idea that the importance of the name is it can't. So in the situation with the Levirate marriage, like the brother Shema was talking about, that it says yes, go and rear up children. So it's not saying that hey, listen, man, your brother, he's dead, so he ain't gonna have no seed. Like no, go and and raise up seed in your brother's name, so that the name in Israel shall not be blotted out. And so this is a direct commandment. This is not even a cultural decision. It is a law that you will not undermine the name of that person. Now, of course, whatever the character of that parent is another issue. Whether he was a good guy, whether he was a piece of crap, whatever, that's a whole nother argument in itself. But the one thing that you cannot and should not do is come along and say, yes, you, son, are going to have the name of this man now. Because now you're cutting off the legacy, you're cutting off a lineage. And the Most High, of course, frowns upon that. And to the point where, again, Moses didn't say this. This wasn't something that Moses said, this will be a good idea for our times. This is the Most High saying, no, I'm saying you will not do that. So as far as adoption, I don't think adoption in itself is an issue. I just think that if the man is going to take on the legal responsibilities of that child, that's one thing. But to say that, okay, I'm going to take on the legal responsibility, and by the way, I'm going to enshroud you with my name, that's a whole different scenario. And I think that is probably the only thing that I would have a issue with, but not the adoption in a legal sense per se.
Oh, okay. I didn't know I unmuted for a second. My fault. I was going to say that also with the adoption thing, if the father is still living, because you were saying to take on all the legal responsibilities, like, so would that would cover like the finances and all that and stuff like that, right? With that, I would say, based off of what I understand, like I said, I'll get more information for you guys, but from what I understand, we wouldn't be able to do that either, because mainly if the father's living, because like I said, our Lord expresses very, very, very thoroughly the responsibility of the father to his children. You know what I'm saying? And it is against the religion to take that right from the father to give it to another man. And it's not fair to give that to another man. You know what I'm saying? And you know, even with the names, like we was talking about the names, the name, when a man in Islam, when a man marries a woman, she's not supposed to take his name either. She has the name of her father. The only ones that get the name is the children. You know, Allah makes this very, very, very clear. You know what I'm saying? And he's very thorough.
It's the same in the Torah too. It's the same.
Of course, it's going to be the same thing with the Torah because it's all from the same source. You know what I'm saying?
So how come nobody told me this? Okay, because I seen you just said it. I just, not that I have anything against it, but I never. And I'm sorry, Ben, I just totally cut you off, but that is so interesting to me. And I think too, it's related to what you're saying, so bear with me for 1 second. But even when you look at when we was in the, you know, when they were giving out the, I think it's in either Deuteronomy or Numbers, I forget, whatever. But there's a story of these kids. I can't think of what tribe it was, but one of the tribes, I want to say Manasseh, but I don't know if that's right or not. But anyway, the father didn't have no sons. He only had like maybe 5 daughters. And they ended up, like, so they was giving out the land or whatever, and they ended up saying, you know, we want to get some land as well, but our father didn't have no boys. And then they was like, oh yeah, you know, y'all can get the land too. So just to your point about the kids having a name, even extends to the women, but nobody ever says that. And I'm pretty sure that somebody's gonna punch out in the face once we get off this live broadcast. But thanks for bringing that up.
But indeed, but along the lines of what the brother Abad is saying, think about all of the times let's say in the Book of Chronicles, for instance, when you go to Chronicles, whether it's Kings, Shemuel, whatever book in the Tanakh we're talking about, if you ever notice when a woman is described, let's say a woman comes on the scene, whether it's the wife of King David, she comes on the scene, she's identified as what? Let's say Bathsheba,
right.
the daughter of
the father. Yep.
Right. It's never Bathsheba, Eshet, or the wife of. No, it's the daughter of this man, the son of so and so, the son of so and so. So
wow.
That's so deep, yo. I love it.
My mind right
yeah,
now,
you know what I'm saying?
I did not even think about this.
Because my name is still Griffin, apparently.
And we have lost that. We've lost that. Like, for example, with my last son, I named him, his name is Musa, is Arabic for Moses. I named him Musa ibn Abad ibn Usama, which means Musa, son of Abad, son of Usama. So my lineage, me and my father, we got the slave name. You know, we don't know the original name, so we stuck with that. With my children, I broke that. With my oldest 2 children, I wasn't able to break that. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have them lawfully. And, you know, my children's mother, she decided to give him her last name based off of what her parents told her. And it was kind of a slap in the face because I was going crazy about it. I'm like, yo, those are my children. My father told me, those are the children of the bad. You know what I'm saying? They don't carry your name. This is a law. So, I mean, Allah just made sure you got it. They don't carry your name in this life too. You can't even get that. That's just part of the punishment. You know, I wronged my children. They're perfect, but I made the mistake. You know what I'm saying? So they carry, you know, the name of their mother. You know what I'm saying? And alhamdulillah, that's the will of God. But I made sure that when I had my final son, that I broke that completely. You know what I'm saying? And it's important also because in Islam, when Allah calls on the people, he will call us by our father's names. He will call us by our father's names on the day of judgment. So you know, if that's screwed up, you know what I'm saying, that's going to be a problem. You know what I mean? That's going to be a big problem. And it's going to be a big problem for the fathers more so than the children, because the father's first right of the children on the fathers is to be put in the most righteous woman they could find. The second right is to be given a good, strong name. So if that name is messed up, then the fathers are going to have to answer for that. You know what I'm saying? See, it's belittled now because of the times we live in. But when we get called back, we're going to see how serious it is. You know what I'm saying? Right. And that's why I'm really stressing it.
And I wanted just to add in, it was a comment that I thought was interesting. We're talking about adoption, and there was Robin and Shoshana, but I thought it was something that Robin had said. Oh yeah, I think Robin. I'm gonna misquote you, sis, but I read it and I saw it and I can't find it. But she said that she would adopt because she doesn't have a name. So that was I thought that was interesting because as far as a woman is concerned, this Shoshana said the adoption is an American societal issue, but it speaks to children feeling a sense of belonging, and that can be achieved without legal adoption. So so I agree. 'Cause I'm thinking about a situation where like with me, I can only use myself, right? So I'm up here, and whenever I go to do like an emergency contact form for my children, like I'm an emergency contact, but outside of me, who they gonna call? Ghostbusters. Yeah. But I was I always put down my mother-in-law, my auntie, and they don't even live here. They're in Maryland. Because who do I put down? So then the question then to the same point, like if a woman or a man is a widow or or the parent, like let's say the parent is in prison. Let's just put that out there too. Let's say the parent's in prison or he or she is deceased. What would you suggest? If not adoption, then what? And I'm just only asking because I feel like maybe they need some kind of access, but maybe they don't. And I'm just talking. How would you get it so that if something happened, they could like at least have the right to walk into the school to get the kid or take it to, like somebody mentioned the hospital situation. I don't know. I'm just asking. Maybe there's no answer, but once you all say something about that, then we only move to the last question because the last question is important, I think, before we close out.
I mean, I never had that problem, to be honest. Like,
okay.
I was just known as the stepfather. I mean, I'm not with my ex-wife now, and I still get calls from their schools like, you're the stepfather of so-and-so. I'd be like, I'll say yeah, because, I'm still concerned about it. I want to make sure they're all right. So I'd be like, yes, everything okay? You know what I'm saying? Like, I was able to go and get them, all that stuff. You know what I mean? And there was a scenario some months back where they called me saying, there was something going on with one of them, and I said, yeah, well, just let me get your callback number, and I'll make sure that they come and deal with it. You know what I'm saying? But they respect that. It's kind of like a known thing. Like if they see that the children coming with you, you know what I'm saying? Like you picking them up from school or something, or you bringing them to the hospital or whatever, and they ask you who you are, and you say, I'm the stepfather, they don't go crazy about that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I got you. Yeah. Okay, I appreciate that.
But you see what's happening though. But if you listen to the narrative that we're pushing right now, this is the reason why you have, and what I'm going to say is going to be a little controversial. I'm going to keep it very short because it's most likely a subject for another show or whatever. But what we're talking about right now, what are we doing? We're trying to take a Western concept and we're trying to find the righteousness or we're trying to basically kind of wash it up with our own morality, because of course, a lot of the stuff in this society is not morally based. It's all based on convenience. We get married for convenience. We do this for convenience. Everything is convenience, but we're all coming from a theological or cultural motive. So what we're doing is we're trying to kind of wash a very filthy kind of situation. And even with adoption, like the sister said, these are American concepts, but what are we doing? We're trying to make sense out of that which makes no sense. And you know what they call that? And we're trying to like reinterpret this stuff and to make it fit for the time that we're in so that righteousness can still flourish regardless of the circumstances. In the Israelite culture, that process is called establishing Mishnah. In Islam, which of course I have a history with that many decades ago, it's called Hadith. Because the times changed and law still had to be kept, but it's like, okay, these are not times that are conducive to when the prophets wrote this or when the messengers wrote this and so on and so forth. How do we deal with these changing situations? So you had wise men who sat down and said, well, we have the law in front of us. We have, we have the protocol. Let's see how we can make this situation work in these circumstances so that righteousness can still flourish even in an unrighteous society. So this is what these men did. They sat down and figured out how we're going to interpret this situation, how we're going to implement this concept in these strange lands. Remember, even in the situation with the Quran being written in Medina, or whether you're talking about Yathri, whether you're talking about Makkah, these things are being written in that cultural construct. Now what happens when you're no longer in Makkah? What happens when you're now in Rome? How does this now apply? So this is why wise men had to come and sit down and say, okay, this is how we're going to implement this in the spirit of the law that we received. And the same thing with the Torah. What did the Israelites do when the Greeks and the Romans came on the scene and they were no longer under their own jurisdiction, and actually implemented laws to counteract the Torah? These men had to sit down and say, okay, they set up laws to counteract our Torah. We're going to set up traditions that is going to counteract their laws. Because either way, the laws of God is going to be kept. It's going to happen. We're just going to figure out a new way in order to do it. So interestingly enough, this is exactly what we're doing right now. We're trying to make sense of circumstances that wouldn't even be dealt with in ancient times, but we're trying to basically cleanse it. And of course, may the Most High be glorified in that act. I just want to just drop that real quick because it's another subject in itself.
Real quick, could I say something to that real quick?
Yep, go ahead.
I agree. I agree with what you're saying. The only thing that I may differ a little bit on is that I believe, based off of what the Quran says, I believe that all the laws that we've gotten, the foundation of those laws, everything, it still works for now. The problem isn't the laws. The problem is the people. You know what I'm saying? The people don't believe in those laws. The people don't believe that, if they do things putting the Lord first, you know what I'm saying, that he's going to take care of everything. He's going to sell them, with a nice win. You know what I mean? They don't believe in that. They don't trust that. So they say, well, I got to do this. I have to do this. They don't believe in the stories of our past prophets. You know what I'm saying? And the trials and tribulations that they went through where they had to trust in the laws of the Lord, you know what I'm saying, in order to be successful, So because they don't believe in that, they do something that in Islam is a major sin, which is they create bid'ah. And bid'ah means innovations, newly invented matters in deen. You know what I'm saying? And every newly invented matter is a stray. You know what I'm saying? And it takes you off of the path. And it confuses the people because as time goes on, they think that this is okay. And this is why you see so many different cultures doing different things. We're all under the same religion, but they're adding things into it. One of the biggest things is how they get married. You know what I'm saying? And that's a whole nother topic, but, I'm sure you guys understand what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
Hey, before we go to the last question,
Oh, yeah.
I just want to say this last piece, the whole conversation was great. But that last piece with the name really hit home, man. Like the wife keeping the family or the father, that just hit me. And y'all just added something to me. And it's crazy because it was there and evident in Torah. And I just didn't pay attention to it, even what Zayab just brought out. So now I just want to say, Toda Rabba, Amorim.
Hello, Debarki.
That's right. And that's why it's important for us to talk to each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, we had the conversation, I think, last week, kind of off the air. But, if we don't talk to each other, we don't know what somebody believes. And probably the same thing you believe. Or actually it's going to add to your understanding. So all praise to the Most High for all of that. So the last question, and I was trying to find it because I'm like multitasking. Oh, I'm going to read it real quick. I'm going to sum it up. It's basically, what do we do when these relationships don't work? Is it, okay, how do we manage the impact, that occurs on children when things don't work out? Again, we're talking about blended families. What happens when y'all never get to the marriage line? Let's say you courting, the children have been introduced, and it turns out that you can't stand the way he chew his his chicken. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I can't. Oh, you irritating. Right?
I'm done.
or you get married and unfortunately there's a divorce. How you know what? Like I know you said bad that they still call you to this day. Well, that's beautiful. You know what I'm saying? But I just wonder how do we work through that in a way that is still holds on to what was done that was good in the initial union.
Like are you saying like how do you hold on to the like how do you aid to the children? You know how?
No, how do you gracefully exit the situation so that the kids are not more worse off than before you met them? I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
So you saying if
that right there?
Yeah. Very good question.
I don't think there is any special way to do that except be kind and gentle. Especially if it's something that they was looking forward to. If it doesn't work, you have to explain to them the reality of in Islam we call it the qadr of Allah, the decree. You know what I'm saying? We plan, but He's the best of planners. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes what we think is good for us may not be good for us. We might not see it. You know what I'm saying? We might be saved from something, or we might have something that He thinks is actually better for us. We don't know. We do as much as we can do, but the final decision is His. And He just didn't want it for us. That's all. You know what I mean? That's the only way to do it. Like when we start trying to add in other factors, you know what I'm saying? All we really do is confuse ourselves and confuse other people. You know what I'm saying? Like if we just stick it to the fact that it's really not in our hands in the first place, then we'll be fine. You know what I mean? And that's how I would go for that. That's actually how I did it. I've done it the same way, and I do it with a smile on my face. Like it's not your fault. You know what I'm saying? It's just this is the reality. You know what I'm saying? I'm a slave. I'm a servant. I don't make no decisions. I just try, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? That's all we could do. So that would be my approach. I mean, y'all got any other
Okay, I think that's pretty much my position as well. I think our approach to that has to be very similar to our approach to even when you're getting into a relationship with the woman and the children, and that the children have to understand that no matter what, our departure, and let's say in a relationship, my issue is not with the children. Like, and the children have to understand that, like, no. I'm not, my relationship, let's say with your mother, that might not be, workable here, but that has nothing to do with us still being able to maintain, like a friendship. And I think it's important that the mother knows that, listen, especially if it's an amicable situation where it's like, hey, listen, it didn't work out, whatever, we're on two different pages or whatever, but at the very least, let us still have an amicable relationship. Let us still have a dealing with the children so that they can see that, okay, we're not together, but they can still say, hey, Zebulon, he's still cool. We go out and do things together so that they understand that this divorce or separation was a separation of the spouses, not of the family.
Unfortunately, with that too, man, it all depends on how and why they separated too. You know what I'm saying?
And that's why I said amicably. Like if it's an amicable situation,
yeah.
Because otherwise, that's not gonna work.
Right. Because I'm telling you, man, like my previous stepchildren, I see them every once in a while, and it's nothing but love. You know what I'm saying? But could I do what I would like to do with them? No, I can't. You know what I'm saying? Because it just opened too many doors, and it didn't end well. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things like when I see them, and they see me, it's all love, and that's just a blessing that we got to see each other. You know what I'm saying? That's it. I mean, and if they call me because they have my number, but if they call me, I would talk to them and everything, but I wouldn't do nothing more to press anything. You know what I'm saying? Because I got to protect myself too. You know what I'm saying? So that's all that is.
So yeah, I agree with both of them. That's my answer. Short and sweet. Not no Hebrew long-winded, just short and sweet for you. And I guess I'll just get my closing remark right now. I appreciate all of y'all that's tuning in. I see it's still like 7 people looking in on Facebook Live. I love it. We would love to get y'all to actually come on this side, especially the women. We want to get some women. Because Tamar holding it down for all of y'all by herself. We need more women. A bad man. We'd love to have you come more often if you can, man. You'll bring your additional perspective and even unlocking things that's there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't even think of the last name thing, man. And that hit me. That really stuck with me right now. I love it. Appreciate it. Good comments for the women out there that's tuning in and the fellas as well. Love y'all, man, and look forward to seeing y'all. I think in 2 weeks now. I think we're not coming back next week, right? So, shalom.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add just to the how to not make things worse. And in fact, I think Robin just said, she said, first of all, hey, Shamika, I'm trying to say hey to y'all, but I can't. Hey, Shamika, hey, Kayeen. But what was I gonna say? Oh, so Robin asked, if they aren't my children, would I need to maintain a relationship with them? And I'm gonna take that and close out with that, because I think that is ultimately the point of this conversation, is to talk through all of that, because I think the answer is yes. Because like I said in the beginning, everybody's kid is my kid. If they fall through the neighborhood, whether we even believe in the same thing, if I keep Torah and they don't, like, you still my child. That's how I feel. So I think that as a Black community, that's not a foreign concept, no matter what your religious beliefs are. We come from generations of people who stuck together. And we've, over time, separated ourselves to, like, now we ask those questions, should I even be, I don't want to misquote like I did earlier, but to where we feel like we have to ask the question, is would I need to maintain a relationship? And I think the answer is yes. Of course, things are not simple, which I think that we understand that. Yeah, Zebulon, yep. I think that we understand everything is not peachy, because if it's not amicable, if there's an argument, if there is violence in a home or something weird has happened, it may not be possible to keep in contact. I think but I think the door should remain open no matter what. And that's the thing, is to say that, again, talk to the, talk to whoever it is, and y'all talk to the kids. So I think I've never heard it before. I think that's an interesting way to resolve, is to have an open conversation. And I'm an open person anyway. Like, I talk to my kids about everything, and I try to tell them that before they hear it from the world. So I think it depends on your parenting style, but you should talk to everybody that's involved. Should have a conversation about the next step. And the only way you can, and again, Abad is right, you can't control how things going to work out, but if you at least maintain a sense of openness, at least the child, as they get older and they look back, they can say, man, mommy or daddy didn't work out with such and such, but I know if anything ever happened, I could hit them up. You think about family, and Black people, we don't, like in the description, we don't have, it's not a bloodline thing. Like, we're family because we are the people, whatever you think the people of, but that's what makes us family. And I think as we continue with each show, I want to add that into it, making sure that we, I think we'll have a show coming up soon about accountability. So hopefully we can continue to weave in all these things. So we're gonna get ready to close out. Unless anybody want to say anything? Zebulon, go ahead. Yeah, I know. Can you imagine us actually having to do what we say we're gonna do? God forbid. So we're gonna redo the calendar. We have a calendar. We're trying to be professional. So we're gonna redo it again with some additional topics. If you have ideas, like the sister Shoshana had an idea, I added it to the list. So if you have anything that you think we should talk about in more depth, let us know. You can either, if you know us separately, you inbox us, or on the Love Language, there's an inbox. You can inbox us there and let us know what you're thinking. Again, we won't be on next Sabbath. My mom passed away, so I'm going to be going out of town next week, and then we're going to take a break. And then, most high willing, in 2 weeks, we'll be back on September 14th with a new topic, 12 Central, 1 Eastern. And we love y'all, for real. And until then, shalom, shalom.
Shalom, shalom, shalom.
Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum.